Welcome back into the Cherry Pinstripes podcast. I am your host, Shelfy, Dan, whatever you want to call me. We got the Phillies Marlins series just wrapped up over the weekend, and once again, the Phillies just find a way to leave a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth at the end of the series. They win 2 out of 3 here, but they do drop the chance to sweep the Marlins at the end of the series. They win game 1, 7-2. This was the Zach Wheeler gem. Looked like they were going to get rolling here going into the series, and they did, because they come out and they score 11 in game 2, and you thought it was going to be a blowout going into Sunday, but the Marlins put up a 6 spot in the 9th inning, and then they carry that over into game 3 of the series, where they once again come back late. They win that one in extras 7-5, so the Phils dropped the last game of the series. Again, late blow-up. Kerkering hung a breaking ball. I believe it was in the 8th inning for a 3-run shot that tied the game up. Then they went in the extras, and they just completely imploded in the 10th inning of that game. So they win 2 out of 3, but they are coming off of a pretty ugly loss. And going back to the 9th inning of game 2 of that series, it's just kind of been more of the same for the Phillies. Right now, in the standings, they're 13-9. They're in second place in the NL East. They've actually scored 12 more runs than the first place New York Mets. But if you go just one category over, from runs scored to runs against, you're going to see the biggest difference between the Phillies and the Mets right now. 101 runs against for the Phillies. The Mets have only given up 61 runs. A 40-run difference. 40-run difference early in the season. The Mets outpitching the Phillies, and this Phillies bullpen, I've been optimistic, but at this point, it's a little chaotic, I think is the best way to describe it. It seems like it's one guy every night. Granted, Jordan Romano has not looked great all season. Joe Ross has not looked great all season. The high leverage guys have looked good for the majority of the season, but it just seems like every night it's one guy. When the low leverage guys get us to the 8th and the 9th, the high leverage guys seem to implode. And when the low leverage guys blow the lead in the middle, it seems like that's the night when the high leverage guys go out there and rip through an inning. They just can't seem to get everybody going at the same time right now. I mention it, pretty much in every podcast, this pitching staff top to bottom when you look at it. I mean, Jose Alvarado, 2.53 ERA. Matt Strahm, 1.74 ERA. Kerkering had a 3.1 going into that game against the Marlins where he gave up the homer. So on paper, this isn't a terrible bullpen, but they just seem that it's one guy every night giving up 3 or 4, and it's nerve-wracking because you're not evaluating this team as how can we figure it out to get to the playoffs. Every time they have a bad moment, that's not good come October. That's how you evaluate everything with this team right now. Is that's not good. If it's happening to the Marlins, we're gonna have to deal with the Dodgers and the Mets and the Braves in the postseason. So that's the scale that this team is at. That's the bar that they've set for themselves. And I think it's fair to look at it that way. This bullpen, high expectations for me. I still think they're one of the best bullpens in baseball. Having 3 good high leverage guys at the back of a bullpen is huge. It would just be nice if our boy Kerkering would not give up a 3-run lead in the 8th, the one time that we get through the 6th and the 7th clean. But we have a while to figure this out, but it is becoming something that the team needs to address before the deadline. I don't know if going out there and making a Carlos Estevez move right at the deadline, just because you definitely want to bring an arm in here, is the move. I would be looking around a league now. It wouldn't shock me if the Phillies end up making a move a little bit sooner than expected with the way this bullpen's set up. But what can change between now and a potential move happening? What can happen with this current roster and this current team? First and foremost, we need Kirk, Strahm, and Alvarado to start ripping through runs. We need Kerkering, Strahm, and Alvarado to go like a couple week stretch where if the Phillies have the lead in the 7th inning, this game is over. We need a stretch of baseball like that. If we get it to the 7th, this game is over. It's been a little sloppy. I do think a lot of that comes into my next point here of what can change. Aaron Nola needs to get himself back on track a little bit. Zach Wheeler had 2 bump starts already early this season. That's a little bit uncharacteristic. Aaron Nola has been brutal. So between 2 guys that are typically an ace 1, ace 2, we've had 5, 6 blow-up starts already early in the season. You don't want that. Thankfully, Christopher Sanchez and Jesus Luzardo have pitched great to kind of balance it out a little bit, but Aaron Nola having a whip just under 2 and an ERA north of 6 this early in the season definitely plays a role in that. You got the Aaron Nola only getting you 5 or getting you into the 5th is not what you want. We want to start getting deeper into these games. If we're going to get that run of Kerkering, Strom, Alvarado, we're going to dominate out of the pen. If we get it to the 7th, game is over. We have to get it to the 7th. Because like I said in the offseason, I know we didn't address the offense too much. Admittedly, and I'm going to keep saying this, there just wasn't a whole lot out there that fit the Phillies' needs offensively in the offseason. But this team is scoring runs, and they're going to continue to score runs. They've scored over 100 runs already this season. They're leading the division in runs scored by 9, 12 over to the division leader Mets. They're going to keep scoring. Bryce Harper's just now getting hot. Nick Castellanos has been great. Kyle Schwarber's been great. Bryson Stott has looked solid. We'll talk about him at the top of the order a little bit later in the show. But, we kind of need a hard carry from the big guys. We need Aaron Nola to get back on track. We really need Aaron Nola to start ripping off 6 and 7 inning games and not the 5 inning barely getting to 6 or getting into the 6th and getting shelled again, getting taken out. We need some 6th, 7th inning games from Aaron Nola. We need a hard carry from the back of the bullpen. And it would be nice to see a little bit more production from center field, left field. I will note, though, my boy Johan Rojas, 7 for his last 15. Love him in this utility role. I'm going to keep tipping my hat to Johan Rojas probably at the end of every series as long as he keeps playing the way that he is. Had a couple hiccups defensively, but 7 for his last 15. Like I said, he's hit. He's coming off of a really strong winter league in the Dominican, and he does look more confident at the plate. He's dropped down a few bunts in multiple situations. In a move the runner-up situation, in a bunting for a hit situation. We've seen him driving the ball to right field. I'm very happy with Johan Rojas, but we can't play into a position where we're throwing him out there every single day again, because then he's going to hit a cold patch and we're going to be right back in the same situation. We need Brandon Marsh and Max Kepler to get going. This is the one spot in the lineup where this team can really just turn into a wrecking ball offensively and completely out-hit any pitching woes that they have. And it's if the bottom of this lineup can get going. Like I was noted, Schwarber's been great this year. Castellanos has been great this year. Bryce Harper's at the beginning of one of his heaters, but at the bottom of this order can just get going a little bit. And you've seen that in the Marlins series. Rojas got on a few times. But a Max Kepler heater, if you've never seen one, they do exist. They happen from time to time. Brandon Marsh going on the IL doesn't help the situation. But, getting a little bit more production from this outfield, particularly the left-handed bats, would be big. And Max Kepler going to be in the lineup every single day, especially with Brandon Marsh going on the injured reserve list. I need one of those heaters from him. A 3-homer week from Kepler would be nice, especially if one of them was like a lead-changing, late-inning home run. We need a Kepler heater. He started the year off pretty solid. He's had professional at-bats. He hasn't looked outmatched or outgunned up there, which is the big thing. That's been my biggest critique of Johan Rojas at times. That's been my critique of Brandon Marsh this season. Just looks outmatched. Just doesn't look good enough to be here. Haven't gotten that feel from Max Kepler. Just hasn't really gotten into a rhythm. Would like to see him get hot. But really, that's about it. We have to out-hit these issues. We need the starting rotation, particularly Nola and Wheeler, to go on a run of games. And, this bullpen's just got to figure it out. They're definitely, without any shadow of a doubt, going to add bullpen to this team. There will be a pitcher added to this team at some point, and that's why I'm trying not to stress it too much. But this Mets team is good, man, and you don't want to start chasing, falling behind the ball a little bit too much, and you have a big series with the Mets starting today. You got a Mets series starting right now, and this is a huge moment early in the season, and wouldn't you know it, Aaron Nola is going to be on the mound tonight for Game 1. So you'll have Nola tonight, then you have Christopher Sanchez in Game 2. Zach Wheeler is going to pitch on Wednesday before they finally get an off day on Thursday. It's been a little while since they had an off day, but we're also going to see Dave Peterson in this series. He'll pitch the 3rd game of this series for the Mets. He was nasty in the postseason last year. One of the big reasons the Mets eliminated the Phillies, and I believe in Game 2 you're going to see new Mets pitcher Griffin Canning coming over from, I believe, the American League. He's got a 3.43 ERA right now with the Mets. He's pitched good early this season. A good acquisition for the Mets and their rotation, which had a lot of question marks going into the season. But the Phils in New York, up in Queens, starting tonight at 7:10. They've got to find a way to just play a little bit more consistent baseball. This is a 13-8 team that does not feel like a 13-8 team. I don't know. Maybe it's the expectations. I don't know, but something's not fully clicking. But it's there. It's there. You just got to start playing some more. They're finding ways to lose. This is how, and I hate saying it like that because this is how I used to describe this team from 2016 to 2020. They would just find ways to lose. There was talent there, but there was holes on the roster. This team has way less holes on the roster than those 2016 to 2019 teams. So they got to start finding ways to win. Stop wasting these 4-1 leads in the 8th inning against teams like the Miami Marlins. So despite the fact that they won that series, there's a very doomy, negative-y-ish tone to this podcast. Slow start to the season for the Phils despite the record. Let's talk about some good things. Let's talk about the good news with this team. What can we be happy and excited about? The core of this team, like I said all offseason, is very good. It is a very good core. They've come up short in a couple of playoff games, but they've also gone deep in the playoffs. And at the start of the season, the core of this team is the only reason that the blood's pumping. Kyle Schwarber in a contract year, 7 home runs. He's amongst the top power hitters in the league right now. Bryce Harper, 3 homers, a lot of extra base hits this week. Are we in the beginning stages of a Bryce Harper heater? A Bryce Harper MVP caliber heater could be just what this team needs to win a couple series in a row. Nick Castellanos, going to keep mentioning this, came into the season with a little bit of a new approach, willing to take that first pitch, especially that first pitch breaking ball, getting ahead in counts, and as a result, he's still batting over 300 here deep into the season. We're about a month into the season now. Bryson Stott has been batting leadoff. We bumped Kyle Schwarber into the 4-hole. Bryson Stott, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, 1 through 4. We've seen a lot of lefties at the top of Phillies lineups in the past, though. I mean, the 2008 team that won the World Series was switch hitter, lefty, lefty. There was no righty in the top of that lineup. You waited. The 5-hole was the first time you've seen one. So I like the lineup with Bryson Stott at the top of the order. When he's healthy and hitting, and he's been pretty good to start the season this year, I think that spaces the lineup out. Gets Nick Castellanos down more towards the middle, towards the bottom. I like Schwarber in the 4-hole behind Bryce because over the last 2 years, he's become one of the best lefty-lefty hitters in all of baseball. And then you got Jesus Luzardo, Christopher Sanchez. They're just going to keep on mowing them down. I don't think either of these two guys are going to slow down. There's a good chance they're both in Atlanta for the All-Star game with the way that they're pitching right now. And the biggest thing, which has been a big surprise for me, is Jose Alvarado. Coming into the season, despite the issues that the bullpen has had, my concern was just the revolving door at catcher or closer. I'm sorry. Who's going to be the solidified closer? I don't like the, this guy's got the best opponent batting average against this team, so we're going to use him today as the closer. Or there's 2 lefties coming up in the 8th inning, so we might use him here. Sometimes I get a little stressed out about it. I like having a closer, and then you can play your analytics game with everyone else. That's how I like things. Alvarado has 100% pitched himself into closer role for this team. He's the 9th inning guy. Having Strom and Banks as 2 extra lefties obviously makes it a lot easier. You can play the matchups before the 9th. But Alvarado he's pitching his best baseball he's ever pitched. His sinker is disgusting. The cutter, obviously disgusting. But he's thrown that new breaking ball that we've been talking about since spring training. It's got a little bit of a different movement to it than the previous year's breaking ball. And he just looks gross. Looks a lot better than the Jose Alvarado that gave up a grand slam to Yordan Alvarez in the World Series. We don't like talking about that, though. I don't know why I brought that up. Quick little minor league recap for you guys. Our guy Justin Crawford continues to hit down in the minor leagues. The AAA Iron Pigs that I've been discussing all season long continue to rake. One of the best teams in AAA. Go check them out if you're in the area. Ranger Suarez down in Single A right now on his rehab assignment. He's pitched 7 innings in 2 starts, only given up 5 base runners and 1 run. So 1.29 ERA through 7 innings for Ranger Suarez. You're eventually going to see him up on the big league club again. I don't know how this is going to work because Taijuan Walker's actually pitched pretty decent. You might want to maybe let him run a little bit, at least until he gets himself into trouble again. But Ranger Suarez is going to come back up. Maybe Ranger Suarez coming back up, whether it's him or Taijuan Walker, whoever goes to the bullpen, you get an extra arm out there. Maybe that's the depth that we need. Maybe one extra guy going out to the bullpen as a middle long relief guy shakes things up enough. We'll see. But Ranger Suarez will be coming back to the team very soon. Where he fits in, I have no idea. There's going to be people saying, probably in the comments of this podcast, saying Aaron Nola might need a rehab. So send Nola down for a starter too. I can already hear it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's either going to be Ranger or Taijuan Walker who comes out of this rotation, into this rotation, I should say. And then Andrew Painter, he had 3 innings of shutout ball in his last start, throwing 100. TJ Stats and all the pitching gurus on Twitter are in love with this guy, like I said they would be. He is right back to where he was before the Tommy John surgery. Just keeping tabs on Andrew Painter. There's a good chance the way he's pitching, the way he's looked, the way his ball is moving, which is the most important thing in my opinion with minor league stuff. stats, who cares? How's his ball moving, and how is he locating that movement? Andrew Painter is someone you might see on this year's team. If a spot opens, the only thing is that the depth of this team, starting pitching-wise, is deep. This is a deep one, maybe the deepest in the league outside of Seattle when it comes to starting pitching. But Andrew Painter's going to pitch his way onto this team. He has Cy Young stuff, not Major League stuff. He has Cy stuff. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but I genuinely have never said that about a Phillies pitching prospect. So I am very excited for Andrew Painter. We'll see what's going on with Ranger Suarez. Check out those Iron Pigs if you haven't already. And check out Blitzball Battle 6. If you're listening on YouTube or even if you're on Spotify, open up your YouTube app. Head over to Warehouse Games. Hit the subscribe button. Me and ex-Philadelphia Philly Trevor Plouffe are teammates in the Warehouse. We're in the middle of our Blitzball Battle tournament right now. We lost in the championship of the last Blitzball Battle, and we're trying to get back there and win it this time. So check it out. Cheer for the boys in yellow, me and Trevor Plouffe. And we will see you and talk to you guys after this Mets series. We got a 3-game series against the Mets. Thursday, day off. We will find a way to get a pod up before that next series starts on Friday, so be on the look for that. Subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on Spotify. Follow the socials. If you're looking for game updates, constant, highlights, everything going on with the Phils, follow the Twitter account, follow the Instagram account. We post anywhere between 4 and 12 times a day, depending on what's going on. So check those out. We'll see you guys in the next one. Go Phils. They're going to figure this out. The pitching staff's going to be fine. You got plenty of time to plug these holes.